So thank you everyone for coming. My name is Brandon Grant. I'm the marketing director here at QuoteWerks, and we're going to be talking about the new release in QuoteWerks, which is going to be version 5.4 build 7. This is going to be specifically focused on the new features that we released. Typically, we're pretty active with our updates, usually releasing about 4 to 5 updates per year. And this year, we're looking at, this is kind of like the third major release, so almost once a quarter for the most part. One of the first things we want to mention is going to be our integration updates. These are going to be typically what we refer to as CRM updates, PSA updates, accounting updates. We have to maintain consistency and keep compatibility with those. And so this will typically be anything from like the Sugar update, the ConnectWise updates, Maximizer, Sage 50 US edition 2020. And then in this one's also, which is a little different, is that we have also updated our ACT integration. So that's kind of a big one where we completely rewrote the ACT integration. Okay, I reconnected. You should be seeing that. So that it looks like it's showing, at least on my preview, it says it's showing. But if you're still having issues seeing my screen, just let me know. So like I said, a lot of the releases usually include integration updates. So in this one, we had ConnectWise 2019.4 and .5, Sugar CRM 9.0, 9.1, Maximizer 17.1 and 17.2. And then for those of you that are using Sage 50 US edition, 2020 is now supported. And then, like I said, we also rewrote our ACT integration. So it's one of our oldest integrations. So we actually rewrote it, added some new functionality and features to that integration, which we're going to talk about here. So the ACT integration is basically covering most of the kind of major features that were already in there, but also allows some other new features. So for instance, you're able to integrate when ACT is not running now. So that's a pretty big one. So before, you always had to have ACT up and running in order to integrate with it. Now you're able to actually run QuoteWerks and integrate with ACT without having to do that, and we'll go through that today. Some of the other new features, link to existing opportunities, so you can actually update existing opportunities through QuoteWerks and ACT now, rename the opportunity through QuoteWerks, and then also the opportunities, link documents, activities, calls, means everything's actually linked to the opportunity now rather than the contact. So that makes things a little easier to kind of keep track of in the integration. And then setting defaults for the activities, which we'll go over, and then also the data link support for ACT, where it's now bi-directional, so you can actually choose ACT fields to pull into QuoteWerks and also push QuoteWerks fields into the ACT opportunity. So quite a lot that we did there, and we'll cover a lot of that here in more detail in just a couple minutes when we actually go through the demos. For those of you that are using Elis or the product content subscription, we added a few new features here. Where you're able to now limit the stock or your searches by items that have been in stock recently. So basically what this allows you to do is you actually are allowed to see or only see results when you're doing a search in Elis for items that have had stock within the last 24 hours. So basically each night we'll take a look and we'll see what's been in stock. And then if you have this checkbox set, and we'll go through this one as well, you'll actually be able to reduce your results from your distributors to only items that have been in stock within the last 24 hours. So the feature has been asked for quite a long time, so now it's now available in build 7. We also added list high and list low columns for you. These are going to be a great way to kind of show you what the list price for the item has been. Essentially the list high price, so the highest list price that we've seen, and then also the lowest list price. So it gives you kind of a good idea if the item's been fluctuating as far as the unit list price of it. And then just some speed improvements. We continuously work on our integration with Elis, so try to speed it up anytime we can. So since we were in there, we're able to make some adjustments and kind of return results a little quicker. So that's been a positive change there as well. In addition to the Elis integration, we've added the ability to place online orders with Amazon Business. We did do a webinar with this a couple weeks ago. This is USA only. That's not a QuoteWerks thing. That's just an Amazon Business thing right now, is that they only are allowing us to open it up to US customers. I don't have a timeline for international customers yet, for Canada, the UK or Australia. but hopefully here in the next couple months. The nice thing is that once it's available, you'll have all the functionality. So, but with the Amazon Business online ordering, it does require the Elis subscription, but this will allow you to search in Amazon or in QuoteWerks for items sold by Amazon, and then you can actually place the order directly through QuoteWerks through the Amazon Business online ordering integration. So we'll kind of walk through that today as well. And some new email templates updates, which we're going to walk through also, but this will allow you to specify email templates per user. So something that's really nice is that if you are creating email templates in QuoteWerks, instead of having to have each user create their own, or maybe you want to, instead of having to save them as public, you can actually allow your users to select which templates they can use. So you can create like templates for a group of users, like your inside sales team or your account managers or your techs or whatever it is, whoever needs to kind of share templates. So it just makes things a little simpler when you're using these. We also added some functionality to for email addresses where you can set default like 2 email CCs and BCCs on templates. So if you're using a specific template, it goes to a specific user in your organization, and whether or not you want to append or replace the email addresses. So quite a bit of functionality there, which we'll go into more detail here in just a few minutes as well. And then Quote Valley, new activity notifications. This is a great feature where you can actually specify which activity notifications go to who from Quote Valley. So when you receive notifications like first view, accepted, payment made, things like that, they automatically go to the sales rep. But with this feature, you can also choose who else they go to. We've had this feature for quite a while, but we've expanded the notifications that are available. So we'll go through which ones are available now and kind of how to set that up if anyone's maybe new to Quote Valley and hasn't started using this. It's a really, really useful feature here. As always, we have a ton of resources on the website, so if you do have questions about QuoteWerks, definitely feel free to give us a call or send us an email. We have a ton of feature videos. We're always adding new videos with some of the new features, kind of redoing some of the older videos as they get outdated as well, so definitely be on the lookout for those. We do have a fully updated help file, so basically every time we release an update, we also release an updated help file, so that has all the new features, but also anything existing in QuoteWerks as well. Also, our live and recorded webinars are posted on the website, so you'll always be able to see kind of like what's upcoming as far as webinars go, and then also see previous webinars if you want to watch those. And then highly recommend the users forum. If you haven't signed up, definitely get in there because that's a great place to interact with other QuoteWerks users where you can post questions. We have a lot of active customers and partners in there that are really, really helpful in answering questions, and it's a great place to just kind of interact with other QuoteWerks users. And then if you are looking for more in-depth training, we are holding our annual QuoteWerks User Summit in March of 2020. It's actually not that far away. It sounds really far away, but it's actually coming up pretty quickly here since we're already, kind of end of August here. So if you're interested in signing up, you can go to events.quoteworks.com and you can sign up. We have the agenda posted, location, all that information's up there. So it has sold out the last 2 years, so just make sure if you are interested, make a plan to get signed up and then go in here. As always, social media is a great place to connect with us. So if you're wondering kind of what's new, if we have a new video or new release or anything like that, definitely make sure you're following us on like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. It's a great place to find that information. And as always, you can always contact us directly, either by giving us a call or sending us an email. We're always here to help. Okay, so that being said, that's the hard part, getting through those slides. Now we'll actually go through with the demo of the features and kind of what's new and how to use this functionality that we added. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to QuoteWerks. All right, so we're going to kind of walk through kind of what we talked about in the slideshow, some of the major features. And the first one we're going to start with is ACT. So we're going to start under our contacts, set up contact manager and our ACT integration. So there's a couple things we added here that I wanted to address because if you are an existing ACT user and you want to take advantage of these new features, you actually need to come in here and make some changes. So the biggest one you'll see is that the ACT integration now allows you to specify the database file. And basically what that means is that if you want to use QuoteWerks without having to have ACT running in the background, you'll need to specify the database file. Or if you have multiple instances of ACT, you can tell QuoteWerks, hey, just integrate with this specific version of ACT. So either way, you'll want to set this here. If you always just run ACT, 24/7, and you're having QuoteWerks integrate with just a running instance, you can continue to leave it blank like I have. Down here, this is going to be your username and password. So you're going to need to add your ACT username and password for this running instance or for this installation of ACT that you want to integrate with. Again, this is only if you are using this to integrate with ACT when you are not, when you don't have ACT running. So if you want to integrate with ACT while it's running, you don't have to do anything. If you want to integrate with it when it's not running, you'll just need to fill out these fields here. If you are going to set it up in your installation, so your other users, or so for your installation, you don't have to have ACT running to integrate with it. You'll also need to set up the Contact Manager tab under each user. So if you go to Tools, My Preferences in QuoteWerks, there's a Contact Manager tab for your ACT users. Each of your users will need to specify their ACT username and their ACT password, and it enables for them to run QuoteWerks and ACT without ACT actually running. So just make sure you fill that out for them. If you're managing, if you're like the QuoteWerks administrator, you can manage this through the Utilities User Maintenance, and then you can basically just highlight a user, choose Preferences, and you can go to their Contact Manager tab and fill it out for them if you have like their username and password. So just keep that in mind. But that's how you're going to want to set that up. And then some of the opportunity setup changes. Most of this is going to look pretty familiar for you ACT users. We didn't really change anything here, kept everything the same. What's going to be different is there's a new tab, the Activities tab. So the Activities tab will allow you to set default settings for the activities that QuoteWerks is creating. You'll still be able to edit them and adjust them if you like, but this is just specifically for these activities that QuoteWerks creates. So for your calls, your meetings, and your to-dos, you can choose the priority if you want QuoteWerks to create an alarm or ring an alarm, what the duration of the, in this case, the call is going to be, and any details you want specified in there. So you can go through and you can actually set those up and set those defaults, and that'll be an installation-wide setting. So this will be for everyone in your organization. And again, these are just the defaults, so they can be changed each time you're creating a new call or a meeting or to-do. The users will have the flexibility to adjust as needed, but at least this way you can make sure that you're kind of like setting company-wide installations will all have the kind of the same default settings. So if you want to keep everything kind of uniform, you'll have that opportunity. All right, so those are the major changes kind of with the setup of the ACT integration. As far as the ACT integration itself, you shouldn't see any noticeable differences in the way it operates. The biggest difference will be that everything is saved under the opportunity instead of the contact. That'll be really the biggest change with the integration as far as users go, or how we integrate with it on the front end of things. But as far as everything working, the workflow, everything like that, nothing changed. You're just going to be able to actually kind of hopefully use the integration a little more frequently and use it a little better. So that should be some positive changes for that integration. Okay, so the Elis update. So a couple things wanted to show with the Elis updates here. So if we go to our products window and we click on Elis, so once you update to build 7, you'll see this in stock recently checkbox will now be available. And I'll then also show you the new columns. So basically, like I said, what this will do, this will limit any search results you have to only those results that have had stock within the last 24 hours. So for example, here, if we search for an item, and we're going to do a generic item, so we have lots of them. So we'll do trip light switch, and then kind of narrow it down to, in this case, it's going to be 131 items. And if we scroll down, let's go ahead and drill down a little farther. So that drilled it down to 10 items. And basically, this allows me to know that all of these items have had some type of stock within the last 24 hours. So it'll make things a lot easier when you're looking for a specific item or when you're looking for pricing. You'll know that at least one of your vendors had that item in stock within the last 24 hours. The other thing about this feature that's really nice is you can use it in conjunction with a couple of the other columns. So if you're not familiar with some of the other columns in Elis, if you click on the Customize Columns button all the way to the right, you can actually add some additional columns. So you may not actually have some of the columns that have been available before. But for instance, the Elis distributors, that's this one here in the middle. That one we've had for a while, but if you haven't added it, it'd be a good one to add. This one shows you which distributors have carried that item recently. I don't remember the exact time frame for it, but I know it's within a few days, I believe. So you can see which vendor typically carries that item before you even click on the item. You can also, like I said, add the list high and the list low column. These are going to display the item's list high price and the list low price. So the last time the item was sold, kind of what the highest list price was or the lowest list price from the manufacturer. So typically they'll be the same. Sometimes you might see different ones, and obviously items that might be a little bit older might have a higher list price than the low price now. So you'll still be able to see that, but it gives you kind of a good idea of where to quote that item and kind of what's a good price for that item, or at least, you know, kind of what it's been sold for previously. Okay. And I see a couple questions about stock level working in the UK. Yes, it does. And essentially the way it works is we actually are downloading the price file and checking stock each night. So it'll work for your vendors that are set up in Elis. Okay, so now going to the email templates. So I wanted to talk about the email templates here, just because this is pretty important. Some small features that we added that can really be useful for the email templates. So for those of you that are not aware, the default emails that are in QuoteWerks are fully customizable. So if you wanted to change the text of the default emails that QuoteWerks creates for you, you can actually change those texts under the Tools menu, Customize Email Templates. The Email Template Manager window essentially has two tabs, has the Template tab and the Snippets tab. So we're going to focus on the Templates tab right now. And by default, when you open up the email template window, you'll be shown your email template. So I'm logged in as the administrator in QuoteWerks. If I had logged in as Brandon instead, then I would see my email templates if I had any, which I don't. But then you'll see on the drop-down, you also have the option to view the system and the public templates as well as other user templates. The system templates are the default templates in QuoteWerks. So if you want to adjust or change these, you can come in here and make any of these adjustments. We do have some information in the help file about making these changes, and we'll have a video as well that you can review for making changes on these. But at least just having kind of an idea of where to go, it's always good before we get into what the new features are. The public templates are essentially templates that are shared by one user for everyone. So you make those templates public, and that means anyone in QuoteWerks can utilize that template. And then we have the specific user template. So if we go to my administrator here, we have our sample email template. So some of the new features that we added, the biggest one is going to be the to CC and BCC. So this is extremely useful where you can add email addresses to the template by default. So for example, if you had a template that was maybe going out to customer and it only goes out to customers, and you wanted it to automatically BCC like your sales manager, you could do, you know, sales manager at QuoteWerks.com or whatever their email address is. You can add multiple email addresses, just separate them with a comma. So if you want to do, and also just sales@QuoteWerks.com, you could do that. So it makes it really easy to make sure that when a specific template is selected. So anytime I use this sample email template, the sales manager and the sales inbox will be BCC'd on this email. This is also really useful if you wanted to customize maybe a management report or like an approval request email. You could put in who should be the approver automatically, or maybe if you want to CC someone else on your team, maybe you have like an inside sales rep that assists with your quotes. You can always CC them on any quote that goes out. So there's a lot of ways you can use this functionality, but basically adding the email address here will allow that to automatically populate when you go to use this email template. Now, you'll see on the right-hand side, you actually have the option to append or replace. So append just means whatever email addresses you add in either the BCC or the CC or the to fields will actually just add when you get ready to send the email out to the customer or to another user if you're doing like a peer review or a manager approval request, that type of thing. The replace will use only these email addresses. So let's say you have created an email template that is specific to your inside sales team and only your sales team you want to get it. You can actually set it as, so you would do something like, sales@QuoteWerks.com, set this as replace, and this would allow you to send like an internal email to your sales team from QuoteWerks without having to remove the customer email address. So if you want to send an email to a specific user each time in the template, you'll use replace. But for most of you, you'll just use append where you can like BCC someone automatically, or if it's for your management team or something like that, you can add them to the to or the CC field. So a lot of flexibility with using that functionality. But that'll make it really easy to kind of create as many email templates as you want, customize them any way you want, and then you can even customize who they're created for, essentially. So that brings me to my next point, where if you wanted to click on the drop-down, you can assign an email template to another user. So you can assign them to the owner. This is going to be based on a user's security setting. So if a user has access to another user's documents, so for instance, I'm the administrator, so I have access to everybody's documents. But if Brandon didn't have access to Jennifer's emails or documents, I wouldn't be able to see her templates. But if I can, I'm going to show you how to use those. So if you create an email template and you want it to be just for a specific group of contacts, you don't want it to be for everyone in your company, because if it's for everyone, you could just assign it under public. But if it's just for some users, your users can actually specify which templates they want to use by under the deliver window. When we get ready to send this quote out, there's going to be the drop-down menu here for the template, and you'll see there's now an option that says Edit List. And if you choose Edit List, you can actually choose which user's templates you want displayed in your email template window. And this is a per user setting. So as long as you as the QuoteWerks user have access to these other users' templates, you can actually choose which of their email templates will appear in your list. And then we'll actually sort those for you alphabetically so you can see very easily which user has which templates and which ones are in your template window here. So a lot of functionality here just to make things really easy. And one of the really nice features about it is there's really no setup for it. It's just you can continue using the email templates, and then your users can specify which email templates they want to use as long as they have the security rights to do so. Those security rights are based on their document rights. So if you can view another user's documents, that means you can view another user's email templates as well, so they can share them. If you've set up groups, you can even specify it by group. You'll be able to say, let me see the inside sales team's group email templates or whatever it is. So that's easy enough to use. Okay. So that kind of moves us into the Quote Valet notifications. So for those of you that are using Quote Valet, we've also added the ability to essentially add more notifications to other users in your installation. So under Tools Options, then your Quote Valet tab, and then go to Quote Valet Setup, and you will need to be a QuoteWerks admin to make these changes. There's a tab called Activity Notifications. And the activity notifications allow you to specify, hey, when this specific activity happens, so for example, when a quote is accepted and the document is owned by, we'll say, the outside sales team, we automatically want to CC, and we'll just say purchasing at QuoteWerks.com. And we can add them in here. And what this means is that anytime a user in my outside sales group has a quote that's accepted, the notification that the quote has been accepted will automatically CC the purchasing at QuoteWerks.com email address. So that makes it really easy for like your accountants or who's ever in charge of billing to be notified that, hey, this quote was accepted in Quote Valet, and they can go start moving forward with the steps to invoice the customer so they can collect payment or whatever the next steps are going to be. And we can do that for a variety of notifications. So we had a kind of a limited list before. Now we have them for basically all of them. So you'll be able to do it when the payment's received, when the quote's accepted, obviously, when there's been a mobile quote created in Quote Valet Mobile, an order form order placed. For the first view, when a document's been approved, when a document's not been approved, that's a useful one as well. When a peer review's been posted, when a customer intends to pay, this is one of the newer ones where basically if you're allowing the customer to pay with maybe like one of the custom payment options or like a wire transfer or something that's not like credit card or ACH or something like that, when they fill out that option, you'll actually be able to notify like which option they selected and who that notification is going to go to. If the payment failed, the comment's been posted by a customer, so maybe you have a customer support inside and you want them to be notified, anytime a customer posts on a quote, you can set that up. Comments posted by the sales rep, maybe you want the sales manager CC'd on any messages that the sales rep comments on. And then my personal favorite, the expired quote viewed. So you receive an email automatically, the sales rep does, when a quote is expired and the customer goes and views it. This you can have CC'd to somebody else. So maybe if you have a general sales inbox or just have someone that's responsible for following up on older documents, you can have them automatically CC'd or BCC'd. So you have quite a few options in this list here, and you can set up as many as you'd like, and you can set them up for the various interactions. So we've just added to the list, made it a lot more functional so that you have a lot more flexibility with using this. And like I said, it's basically just kind of the 3 steps: is select the activity, choose who the document is going to be owned by, whether it's a specific user or a group of users, and then select the user group from the list. Like I said, you can choose existing users in the dropdown, or you can just type in an email address like I did and hit the plus sign, and it'll add it here in your list. And it supports CC and also BCC for that functionality. All right. And then the last thing we wanted to cover today was going to be the Amazon Business Ordering. So we're going to kind of walk through the Amazon integration pretty quickly. If you weren't here at the beginning, basically the Amazon Business integration is available for US customers only right now. And like I said, it's not really a QuoteWerks thing, that's just an Amazon Business thing. They wanted to see kind of like adoption for it first before they open it up internationally. So we're kind of on their timeline for that. But the good thing is the more we add to it when it is available for other countries, we'll basically be able to add all that functionality pretty quickly. So, but basically the Amazon Business integration, you do have to have Elis, so you have to have product content subscription. This will allow you to search for items in QuoteWerks that are sold from Amazon. So it's basically just like doing an Amazon search, but you can actually just do it from QuoteWerks. So for instance, if you wanted to search for something like a Lenovo Yoga, hit enter on my keyboard, that'll go out and find the item. You'll be able to double click on the item. If the item has a picture associated with it, that pull it in. You'll be able to change pricing. So if you wanted to mark up the price, you can do that, change quantity, all those normal kind of functionality there. So that's pretty straightforward. Additionally, if you right click, you'll actually be able to see the item URL. So if you view the item URL, that'll take you to the Amazon Business page from QuoteWerks directly. It'll also show you right here, we have a is Prime eligible column, so you'll be able to see that as well. The reason I'm showing this is that in order to use the online ordering for Amazon Business is you have to source the item from Amazon, whether you're sourcing it from the Amazon lookup here as a product source or through the Elis integration when you're looking at those list items or the list price for those items. You'll need to make sure that you've sourced it from the vendor Amazon, because if you don't, you won't be able to place the order. So if I selected this item, send it to my customer ready to move forward, we can then process the order. So if we close out of here and we go to our purchasing window, click on select vendor, then choose Amazon. And when you do that, you'll see a list of any items that have the vendor set as Amazon. And again, it's going to be important that you've actually sourced the item from the Amazon Business integration or the Elis integration, one of those two. Otherwise, the ordering won't work. It may send a confirmation message and say it actually worked, but once Amazon actually receives it and starts to review and process it, it's not going to work if it didn't come through the proper way. So you have to make sure you're using the Amazon Business Integration to pull those items. So if I wanted to place this order, it's going to be pretty straightforward. Just select my items that I want to place the order for. And then you have the options of just creating the PO or placing the online order. So if you create the PO, it will not place the order with Amazon Business. So if maybe you already ordered the items yourself and you just want to create the PO in QuoteWerks so you have a copy of that, you can absolutely do that. Just click Create PO, and it'll create that PO in your Purchase Orders tab. Place Online Order is where you'll actually be prompted to place the online order and then create the purchase order for Amazon. So we can select our PO number here. We're just going to use the next one available. And then you can put in like a ref ID or flooring account. These are really just for your internal fields. And then where you want it shipped to. For our example, we're just going to do our locations. We're going to have it shipped to us. If you're going to ship it to a specific customer, so if you want it to actually go to your customer, you'll need to make sure that you're batching your items, or if you're doing multiple items, that your items are on the same document. If they're on multiple documents, your only option is going to be to ship it here because you obviously have multiple customers. So just keep that in mind, that the shipping is going to be either for yourself, for your company, to your address, or if you want it to go to a specific customer, you'll need to do one for each customer in your ordering list here. And then this will work just the same as if you were exporting it over to QuickBooks or Sage 50 or ConnectWise or Autotask, if you're using any of those for your POs. After we place the order, we can export the PO to your accounting system, or like I said, if you're using Autotask or ConnectWise for purchasing, you can export the PO over there. For example, I'm just going to uncheck that since I don't have QuickBooks open or installed on this machine, and then I'll click OK. And then you'll get a confirmation message here that'll basically say, hey, this order was transmitted over to Amazon Business. You'll typically receive an email from Amazon Business confirming the order. Usually takes about 15 to 60 minutes. For most people we see, it's typically less than half an hour. So that's what we typically say, but it said it can be up to 60 minutes because they are kind of ramping this part of their business up. A couple things with this: you do need to have an Amazon Business account. So make sure that you've gone to the website and you followed our instructions, or in the help file, followed our instructions for signing up for an Amazon Business account. It's free to sign up for the account, and then you'll be able to actually place orders. If you have questions about signing up or getting the integration working, just let us know. It's probably good to do a couple test runs because the integration is pretty straightforward on the QuoteWerks side of things, but like setting up your account properly in Amazon Business, it's not necessarily complicated. There's just some things you have to be aware of. So just make sure you're reading through the instructions and kind of following them step by step to make sure everything is set up properly. So, and then once you do that, you'll actually have a purchase order in QuoteWerks for those items. So if I click on today, that'll show my PO that I submitted. And then as you receive those items, you can mark them as received in QuoteWerks. You can add the serial number, add tracking number. Basically, the purchase order works the same way as it does in QuoteWerks as if you did this item manually. You'll also have the option, if you click on this little real-time button here, where it gives you a quick link. So you can say it says we don't do the real-time updates for Amazon Business, but we do provide you the link so you can check on it. So it's just a little shortcut that you can use to kind of check on the status of your Amazon ordered items. And then you'll be able to, like I said, mark the items as received as they come in or as they're delivered. Once you get tracking numbers and things like that, you can add that in here. So if you're going to use QuoteWerks for your tracking of all your ordered items from Amazon, you'll be able to do that. All right, so I think those are the major features and functionality that we released in Build 7. I'm just going to go over my notes real quick. Yeah, I think that's it. So I've seen a lot of questions pour in. So if you do have a question, just hang tight. I'm going to circle back and kind of start going through those. If any of you came in late, we did say we were recording the webinar, so we'll have that posted on the website most likely early next week. But we'll send out an email blast to everyone letting you know it is available. So if you do have questions, stick around for the next few minutes and I'll start answering those. If you don't have any questions, thanks for attending, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.